All right, so I was listening to Asmongold, and they talked about Ian and Anissa, iDubbbz, and his girlfriend. And I wanted to go ahead and talk about this with you guys because I thought that what Asmongold said here was very, very insightful and interesting. So let's go ahead and talk about what Asmongold has to say about iDubbbz and Anissa.
Which two?
Which, by the way, the Willie Mac Show is about to present a clip of Anissa talking down on iDubbbz. At least that's the perception that we're viewing. But I don't know the context of that clip. So I'm just going to say that they're having a friendly banter that's occurring in front of us. All right, so I'll go ahead and just leave it there.
It's crazy.
Also made a video on iDubbbz. Let's just check out some quick highlights.
It's crazy what a little CTE or the love of a woman will do to you.
Whenever you're around Denisa, you look like an abused dog.
I just want to ask him if you've always been shitting your pants.
No.
Because since I've known you, you've always had like IBS. You've always been shitting yourself.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not
He's
even
at a cafe. Burton, has he always had IBS? Ian's just looking like a shriveled. You look like the grandma from SpongeBob. The chocolate grandma. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what's happened to Ian. He has zero confidence. He doesn't even know how to speak for himself anymore.
Do you feel like
I don't want to get into this iDubbbz shit. I think it's fucking weird. If you want me to be totally honest, like, I'm gonna just stop it right there. We got through the most important part, which was about me. I mean, obviously, right? That's the important part. And so, yeah, it's weird, right? I mean, like, it's just honestly, like, I'm gonna be 100% real. It makes me kind of uncomfortable to watch this. I'll link you guys the video here, and y'all can support it, give it a like and everything. But like, I'll go back, and he said, no, and like, I actually like Ian, I do, and I don't know his relationship and his situation with his wife or girlfriend or fiance. I don't know where things stand on this. But like some of these interactions and like watching the dialogue happen, it just feels very weird, and it makes me not really want to watch it. Like, that's just that's the way I feel in general.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Like right there, okay. So he's saying that he doesn't want to watch this because he feels uncomfortable, and I feel like this should probably be a standard for most people, because oftentimes when we see a clip like this between iDubbbz and his girlfriend, I really don't understand what's going on in this clip. Because when I view this clip, to me, I think to myself, what's the context behind it? We have here Willie Mac, who is the guy, who is this guy. Hang on. Where is he at? Who is that guy? And he's setting a narrative for what we should be thinking of when we view this clip. And I completely think that's, I don't want to say stupid, but I think that's a bit, not disingenuous, I don't know the word, but I find it very odd that he's setting a narrative for a 30-second clip, because I think to myself, well, there is thousands of hours of iDubbbz and Anissa out on the internet. Why is it that only these 30 seconds out of thousands of hours, and I want you to understand, okay, 30 seconds from even 1 hour, it's very minuscule. Thousands of hours, you take 30 seconds of this interaction between iDubbbz and Anissa, and yet we're supposed to draw a conclusion as if we know these people. I always thought that was exceptionally weird, and for some reason Willie Mac here is setting a precedent that he's being abused. I don't like that. I always thought that was weird, and moreover, the people online always have an opinion about iDubbbz's relationship. Again, we have no idea how these people interact. We don't know what kind of inside jokes they have. We don't know anything about these guys' philosophy, but yet we opinionate our opinions as if we actually know these people. And again, this isn't to say that you can't have an opinion. You absolutely can. But I think that if you want to have a valid, substantial opinion, I think that we have to at least personally know these people in order for us to do that. That's why oftentimes, well, if you look back at my videos, I will say something along the lines of, only the fans can really critique the content creator because they know the content creator. They know where he's coming from. We, the people who don't watch iDubbbz or Hassan or any of those people, we don't know what's going on. We only take 30-second clips and we immediately assume that that's their entire being. What is that? An attribution error? That's what it is. We're committing an attribution error. Actually, let me go ahead and take a look. Attribution error. An attribution error refers to mistakes people make when trying to figure out the reason behind other people's actions or events. It's a type of bias in how we perceive and explain the world, and can be led to misunderstandings and unfair judgments. Okay, so like I feel every single time we make judgments about a particular content creator or a person, this is what happens. We have an attribution error. So for instance, we saw this clip from iDubbbz, and immediately we take those 30-second clips and assume that this is almost every single interaction with Anissa and iDubbbz, perhaps even more behind the scenes. But yet we don't know anything of these people. We don't know how they interact. We don't know their philosophies, their personal philosophies, you know, their senses of humor. He probably thinks that that's funny, but for the audience, especially people who don't even know these folks, who always have an opinion, they don't see that as funny, and they will make an opinion on that. And I think that what Asmongold here said was, at least to me, kind of a revelation, because I thought that I was the only one who had this perspective. Oftentimes you see people online like Willie Mack, Turkey Tom, or other folks that will always have an opinion on iDubbbz. Although I will say that Turkey Tom, oftentimes he backs up his opinions, so I will say that his opinions are a lot more substantial. But at the same time, I feel that a lot of people online have a deep understanding of these folks and always have an opinion on these guys, when the reality is that they actually don't understand iDubbbz or Anissa and have no idea who these people are. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not here trying to defend Anissa, because I have seen a couple of videos where I look at that and I'm thinking to myself, like, did you really think that delivering that piece of content was going to be effective? Because I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the biggest reasons why people don't like Anissa is because she created a bit of propaganda, stereotyped men. And I felt personally offended by that. She made a clip, or not a clip, but a short. It's no longer available because obviously it was deleted for obvious reasons, because it was just a propaganda piece. But that stereotypical piece, when I witnessed it, I thought to myself, like, bro, like, and then you're asking yourself the question, you know, why people don't like you. Essentially, if you don't know what the clip is, it's essentially a short of Anissa. It reads something along the lines of, not all men. But then she'll say, but then all my assaulters or abusers were all men. And it's like, okay, I know what you're trying to do. You know, that is not a good message at all. How the hell are we supposed to support you when you're fucking throwing us under the bus? We know what you're trying to do. It's kind of like a dog whistle, because even though there's like this somewhat of a complex intermingling of meaning of words, the sentence itself almost sounds like you're blaming all men. And I found it personally insulting. And that's one of the reasons why I don't support Anissa. Now, do I hate her? I don't hate her, but I don't support her. And a lot of people tend to hate her, which I totally understand, because if you see my video of Anissa, and because I attempted to understand why people hate her, I can see why people would hate Anissa, because, well, she's done a lot of things in her past. Like, for instance, she's laughed at tragedies where that one girl, I forgot her name, Venus Angelic, she was watching that clip and she laughed at certain moments. Although I do think that the reason why she was laughing was because she wanted to speculate on it, or she really didn't know just how serious the situation is, which, by the way, it's totally normal. Humans do that. So I can understand that. But some people will perceive that as, dude, you're laughing at this person's tragedy. Her life isn't even, it's not going well. She's about to be homeless, and yet you're laughing at it. Although I will say that that is a pretty unfair judgment. But at the same time, I can't blame people for thinking that, because obviously, you know, they don't know Anissa, which is going back to the whole attribution error situation. Like, we don't know these people. But yet, immediately, we take a 30-second clip like this, and then we attribute it to their entire persona and their behavior system. So, I don't know, man. I thought that I was the only one crazy thinking this. But I'm glad that Asmongold talked about this, because it really, to me, it makes me feel like I'm not crazy for thinking that, you know? Again, we don't know how iDubbbz and Anissa interacts, because this is just a 30-second clip, especially when Willie Mack is setting the narrative. This is just a 30-second clip from 1,000 hours of interactions. Remember, 30 seconds is completely insignificant compared to an hour, let alone 1,000 hours. So if you dislike these folks, I get it. You have your own reasons. And I think that you're more than entitled. You're more than welcome, and you're entitled to your own opinion. That's what I meant. But for us to just sit here and attribute these behaviors to their entire persona, I think that is a very unfair judgment to make. So I just kind of want to just go ahead and just talk about that because yeah, I see this a lot. I see that people like Willie Mack like to come on here and talk about the situation with iDubbbz, and they like to point out his relationship, which I think that is a very unfair critique. Critique him on the content that he's created, because that piece of content that he created, the content cop, I think that content cop was horrible, dude. Ethan Klein, he came out, he rebutted, I don't know if some or if all his points, most or all his points, but I think that content cop was terrible. I don't think it was a good one. Apparently people thought that it was a really good content cop. According to Ian, he says that people are astroturfing, which I don't know if that's the case, but I personally didn't like that content cop, man. But regardless though, yeah, I just kind of want to just go ahead and just talk about that relationship, that whole relationship situation.